Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to talk about what does it really mean, or what does it really take to live an abusive relationship. Is it just physically leaving? Is it just packing your bags and leaving? Or what is the really deep implication of when you tell yourself I've finally left this relationship? You see, leaving any relationship or any place you've invested your emotions, you've invested your money, is never easy. And of course, it will require a lot of determination and courage from you. You can't just do it that easily. It needs more of courage to make that decision. And what mostly happens is you may question your decision, you may think that you're making the wrong decision, and even other people may convince you that you are making the wrong decision by leaving that marriage or by leaving that partner. And you may also feel lonely, you may also feel sad, and you may also think about the beautiful moments you share with your partner, or you may also think about what they had promised you. In fact, according to a study, most survivors of abuse return to their abusive relationships or to their abusive partners on average of 7 times before finally leaving for good. So that's just a statistic. You're not a statistic, but it's just how it happens. And if you have found yourself in this on and off cycle of going, leaving, going and coming back, then it can be really frustrating and painful to always find yourself making the wrong decisions repeatedly, repeating the same thing. And the thing is, what mostly happens is during that divorce process, your partner may frustrate you, and they may threaten to ruin your life. They may threaten to make your life a living hell if you do not return to them. They may also threaten to alienate you from your kids. They may threaten to take all your money. They may threaten to take all your assets or to freeze all your assets. They may mostly make leaving seem like the worst thing for you, and you may logically see that or think that you are even better off in that relationship, because if you leave, you'll feel that you might not have a job, you might not have your money to fend for yourself, and you might not have your kids. So you may end up, of course, going back to them because you also feel addicted, you also feel hooked because of your trauma bonds and all those kind of inner stuff. You are addicted to what the relationship is giving you. So these trauma bonds and more of the life challenges which you will get after leaving the relationship will provide, of course, enough evidence for you that there is no place for you to go. The other thing is, they may also feed you with false hope or false promises that they are going to change their behaviors. They may also display some subtle signs that they are changing their behaviors, and you may even convince yourself that this time you are going back, let's say it can be the second or the third time, this time you are going to make it work because you figured them out, you've understood their manipulative ways, so they cannot manipulate you anymore. Because that's what mostly happened from my clients. They tell me that I thought that once I learn about them, I can now go back and understand them and be a better communicator. And when you get there, you even feel and when you get there and then you realize that they've not changed their behaviors, you just blame yourself for not learning your lessons. The other thing which mostly happens is, if it's a marriage, you may involve external sources, you may involve your parents, you may involve prayers, or you may try to just work things out in your marriage. And the thing is, what mostly happens again is when you go back, things may start looking better for a few days, a few weeks, only for the relationship to turn out even worse than before, only for them to go back to their old ways. And you now even tell yourself with this deep conviction that this time I'm leaving for good. But there's always that part of you telling you that this has been the same narrative for you for the past 5 years, for the past 3 years, or whichever amount of time you've been in that relationship. So more that part is telling you you always leave and come back. So what's the point of living? What if you just stay? Like, your mind is just telling you evidence that you're giving you evidence that you've done this before, or you may even feel that, or you may even resign to this feeling that you may never really leave this person, because you leave and then you come back, and you may even feel that there is even no point now trying to leave, because after all, it's just a pattern for you. So you are tired of the on and off cycle, and because of your lack of inner strength, because you lack self-esteem, because the relationship has eroded your identity, you will always lean on staying. You will always lean on staying and never thinking of leaving. It's really hard for you to lean on that side of leaving because of that lack of self-esteem and maybe lack of support. So why does this really happen? Why do you keep going to this cycle of leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back? Actually, the main reason is because you always see, because of your perception, you always see leaving as the last step instead of seeing it as a beginning. So leaving is not actually the last step, it's more of the beginning of your healing journey. So instead of blaming yourself, like beating yourself up, feeling sad for staying too long, or just torturing yourself for going back to them, or for not learning a lesson, the best thing to do is, in this present moment, take full responsibility to address those dark forces within you that are pulling you back to your tormentor, those dark forces that are pulling you back to someone who's made your life a living hell. So what happens is, when you live physically, you are only doing it like as a body, like as you living physically. So the next step is leaving them psychologically and emotionally and spiritually. This is because, like, that abusive relationship, or those abusive relationships you've undergone, normally leave imprints in your psyche, and they distort how you believe about yourself. So you live physically, but deep inside, the relationship have had an impact on you. So to fully live, you have to, like, let go of the past. You have to let go of those psychological scars. You have to let go of those emotional scars they've inflicted on you. So those scars may have been from your parents, from your lovers, from your relationships, or just from your friends. So these psychological scars are now what's making you feel that you're not good enough, and you end up alone, and you don't even have the strength. You're not worthy of a healthy kind of life. So those scars are now the things which are pulling you back to the oppressor, because that's the familiar environment which they are used to. So once you leave, work on healing and processing those scars, because once you process those scars, you'll unbind yourself from the chains of abuse on an inner level. So when you don't really, like, work on those subconscious beliefs, you'll always find yourself in unhealthy relationships. You'll always find yourself drawing toxic patterns that make you feel unworthy. That's how it is. So in conclusion, like, I want you to start seeing leaving not as a final step, not just doing no contact and then stopping there, or leaving them and then stopping there. No, see it as a beginning of your journey of self-discovery, your journey of understanding the boundaries, and your journey of understanding your negative beliefs, your journey of understanding your unhealed wounds. So with that mindset, at least, of course, you can take the necessary steps to process your traumas. You can take the necessary steps to unplug yourself from your conditioning, and that is how you live for good, and that is how you know that you are finally done with abusive relationships. The wounds are heavy, and they'll always pull you down, but of course, as always with this work, is with your commitment and the right tools, you can release that anchor. You can release that anchor holding you or pulling you back to your abusive ex for good. That's what it means to live for good. Not physically, but on a deeper level, working on resolving those wounds they've opened, or the wounds they've inflicted in you. Hope you found that informative, guys, and share your thoughts on what living means to you, or what living meant to you in the past. And of course, as always, if you'd like my help, feel free to break to book a free breakthrough call with me, and I'll help you like live for good and now start attracting healthy relationships in your life. Until next time, have a wonderful day.